All right, boys. It's a great day out today, eh, Kurt? Weather's good.
It was beautiful out today. I sat on the deck with the coffee this morning. It was great.
Oh, you didn't have a beer going at 8 o'clock in the morning?
It was a little early, but yeah, not today.
It's 5 o'clock
Maybe
somewhere.
if it, yeah, that's true. If it was a Saturday though, we might have been mimosas out there or something. But
Yeah, get something going,
you know what they
want to get
say,
the day.
Thursday's Friday Eve, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. You want to get the day started right,
Exactly.
You don't want to be lagging behind. So hey everybody. Hope everybody had a good week. It was a busy week. This is our mid-season show for the NHL. Everybody has, I think, hit the midway mark or is about to hit the midway mark. Some games still need to be made up because of COVID and whatnot. But so today we're going to kind of break down every division, and then we're going to give you our award winners for every division. So the Hart, the Norris, the Calder, and the Vezina. We'll leave out, the Art Ross and the Rocket and whatnot. So that's coming up later. We do have a few things to take care of. First of all, if you haven't already, subscribe and like on YouTube or rate the show on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to it. That way more people can find out about the show. So Kurt, there's a new $160 million man in the NFL. Dak Prescott got a new contract. What do you think?
You know what? I like it. I mean, did you really have a choice though if you're the Cowboys? I
No.
don't think you really you had to resign him, right? It took a lot longer than I thought, and I know some people were a little upset about that, but it was going to get done. You knew it was going to get done. It was just a matter of when. It was late, but it's better than never, right? Now you got your
Well,
franchise guy. You
you
got that
know,
receiving course
Andy
still there.
Dalton. Andy Dalton's not bad.
All right,
I'm
anyways.
just joking.
Yeah, I know.
Andy Dalton sucks.
But yeah, like if that O-line too, if they get healthy, they still have a really probably what do you think, top 3 receiving core? Lots of good receivers there.
Yeah, I
Cooper,
mean,
Gallup, Lamb, like
Lamb.
doesn't get much better than that.
Nope.
Like obviously Zeke in the backfield. He was a little inconsistent last year. Hopefully with that offensive line healthy, he'll get back to form.
Right.
They could win that division. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, it's a very
it's
easy division to win, really.
yeah, I was gonna say what is it, the NFC least they call it, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think they should be the favorites headed in to the year.
I would think so, but I feel like we say that every year almost.
It's
Like it's
very
just
true.
it's just a matter of time. Like when do the Cowboys actually, do something with the amount of money they spent and the great players that they have? I mean, that defense is still. Oof,
It still needs work. Yeah.
it needs
Hopefully if
work.
you're headed into the draft, your focus definitely should be defense.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He's probably, I don't know, he's probably a top 10 quarterback. Well, he's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. So it was weird that
Yeah.
they were having problems getting a contract settled, but
Especially when you
whatever.
look at it too, like look at how much he's going to make now, 160 for 4 years, probably at the back end of that deal the last 2 years. He'll probably it'll be in the mid range, I think, because quarterbacks just keep getting paid more and more yearly. It
Yeah.
feels like.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think they're going to get good value out of it. Hopefully the Cowboys can do something. I actually don't mind the Cowboys. I actually kind of like them, but that's whatever. We'll touch on a few other things. Chris Godwin got franchise tagged by the Buccaneers, so he stays in Tampa. Kurt, do you like the move?
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you this was happening. He's a huge piece of that offense. His hands are incredible, and that offense, they need him. They need him badly. It takes the pressure off Mike Evans and just adds to the amount of weapons that they already have there, right? Brady came out, he loved Chris last year, and I think that the whole team was pretty adamant that he was going to stay.
Yeah. The franchise tag, the whole idea with that's a completely different episode. We're probably going to do that next week. Probably going to get into NFL free agency. There's just so much going on. So many guys getting released. The Chiefs released a couple of offensive linemen today, I think, or maybe it was yesterday. I think it was today.
Isn't it?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. Isn't it funny that, yeah, isn't it funny? Because we were talking about how that offensive line was the issue in the Super Bowl. Then they just decided, you know what? We don't need our 2 starting guards.
Mitchell Schwartz being released is
They,
such a mind boggler to me.
I know it was both of them though. That their former,
Yeah,
what's Eric Fisher, right? He was like a first overall pick, right?
right. I think.
Yeah, he's a good guard.
Yeah.
Pretty sure first overall pick.
It's crazy. We'll get into that next week because there's so much going on. But there's one more football thing. Trent Brown was traded from the Las Vegas Raiders, I guess now, back to the Patriots where he started. I like the move. Trent Brown, obviously a Pro Bowl left tackle. I don't know what this means for Isaiah Wynn. Maybe they'll move him to left guard because Joe, what's his name? Joe Tunney. Is that how you say his name? Joe
Yeah,
Tunney, Joe Tunney,
I think so.
something like that. Whatever. He's got a weird name. He'll be going to free agency because they decided not to franchise tag him. Um, I mean, watching all their games last year, they did have a problem protecting the quarterback. I mean, Cam Newton also doesn't help situations a lot, but they had a problem doing that last year. So hopefully this improves that, protecting the quarterback's blind side. What do you think, Kurt? You like the trade
Yeah,
or
I mean, as a Patriots fan, you probably know a little better than me how that offensive line looked last year, but I
Mhm.
definitely think we can agree that it wasn't as strong as it's been in the past, right? And part of maybe, like you said, Cam Newton didn't exactly help anyone in that offense, I don't think. And whoever is starting at quarterback will benefit, though, I think, from getting Trent Brown on that offensive line.
Yeah, and the starting center, I think he opted. I forget if he got hurt or he just opted out. But David Andrews, he didn't play last year. He'll be back. Um, so that'll be really good. Really just shore up the offensive line. Hopefully, Trent Brown can help with that. I think he will. But anyways, we'll move on from that. We'll get into more football talk next week. There's a few NBA things that we want to get into. Um, fucking Blake Griffin signed with the Nets. What else is new? So now pussy Blake Griffin can go
Are you
fucking make
are
his
you
one dunk.
ordering are you
Hmm?
ordering your Blake Griffin jersey soon or what?
Just so I can burn it, yeah. Just so I can burn it. Because I mean, it just upsets me that a guy that
What
athletic is just like,
what
no, I'm
is
not
your
dunking.
issue with him?
It's
Why
just like
like
the idea. Well, you know what? Maybe it's jealousy. I don't know. But like you know, as a guy of my stature, I'm like, wouldn't it be sick to dunk? And then this guy's like, I can do that. I just prefer not to. And you're like, you're a pussy. That's what you are. It's like it's like when Kobe told Jordan Clarkson, he's like, quit going up like a light skinned dude, and then like immediately just started throwing down like dunks everywhere. That's what Blake Griffin's going up like a light skinned dude. So you gotta. But anyways, whatever, Blake, do whatever, go there. Hope you snap your leg going up for a dunk or whatever. I don't give a fuck. Um, yeah, so he's on Brooklyn now, so that's pretty cool. Brooklyn's, just getting better.
Can we just lock in the Brooklyn Lakers finals now or what?
I mean, we can, because actually, I want that to happen. I want that to happen because then I want, like, Blake Griffin out there on the court, and then like LeBron get the ball and just come down and just like ruin his life. Um, so that'd be sweet. Um, LaMarcus Aldridge and the Spurs decided to part ways. Um, so I think they're working on a trade right now at the moment. But LaMarcus Aldridge is averaging like 13 points a year, like a game, sorry, right now. Like that is, and like 4 rebounds. Like this guy just seems to have forgotten how to play basketball.
Yeah, he's not quite the same player he was. I remember like you could have said he was probably the best shooting big man at one point. Like that guy could hit threes and hit shots from everywhere. And he's a big man, right? He was super athletic. But yeah, just maybe it's age. I don't know. He just not quite the same player he was.
No, and he'll probably end up on the Nets too. This fucking dog, I swear to God, this dog yaps and yaps and yaps all the time because like he sees something outside. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Come on. You're like 6 years old. Get over it. Anyways, um, yeah, the Marcus Aldridge, he'll probably go to the Nets too, or wherever. It just seems like all these like older guys now. I mean, I guess this has been happening for a while, but like all these like it used to be that really old guys would go to like super teams and they would try to win. But now it's like guys in like their early 30s are like,
Was it not the Nets who did this before? Remember when they built that trio? Who was it? Was it it was
oh, they,
Paul Pierce.
yeah,
Was it
they,
Garnett?
well, they traded about, I don't know, 18 first round picks for like a 38-year-old Paul Pierce and like a 40-year-old Kevin Garnett. This dog, I
Yeah.
swear to God, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill this dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they traded a lot of picks to get, I think it was like Garnett, um, and Pierce. They were the main ones. I forget who else. There was a few guys in that trade. Um, but yeah, now it just seems like it's guys like in their early 30s that are going to these super teams for like minimum deals. But whatever. It is what it is. It's the NBA. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still all right. Um, so now we'll get into the main part. We just wanted to fire through a few of those things real quick, give you some updates on everything. We will now get into the NHL. This is our midseason show. Um, as I discussed before, most teams are at the midway point or have passed it or just coming up on the midway point of the 56 game season. But we're going to go off the ice a little bit here. ESPN and the NHL signed a 7-year TV deal where I think ABC will get, I think, 4 Stanley Cup final broadcasts between 2022 and 2027, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah. Now, I mean, obviously it's big. I don't think the numbers have been released yet of what exactly ESPN will pay the NHL.
I think
NBC, you
I thought
you
they said
go.
something like 3 billion or
Okay.
I think that's what I heard, but something about that. And even that this is a huge deal for the NHL.
Yeah. NBC, I think back in 2011, they signed a 10-year, $2 billion deal with the NHL. And so, from what Kurt's heard, it's less years and more money. So if you're the NHL, why not? Right. But I do have to say, if I turn on First Take from ESPN and I hear Max Kellerman talking about the NHL, I'll fucking drive down to New York City and I'll put a sock in his mouth and I'll be like, mm-mm-mm,
What was that? What
mm-mm-mm.
was that quote? It was nobody in America cares about hockey, right?
Yeah,
But
nobody
if
in America really cares about hockey. Yeah.
and he proceeded to say, the old saying is everyone in the town who has season tickets is at the game. It's why the stadiums sell out. But
Yeah.
their TV ratings are terrible. Which I mean, anyone who follows the league knows that is not true for 75% of the markets, or at least 70% of the markets, right?
Exactly. Like
So that's just he's just
it,
taking a
he's ignorant.
small portion. Yeah, that's
He's
very
just
ignorant.
ignorant. But like, I mean, I guess we do it now, so we can't really say anything. But like, don't you find those like talking head shows so annoying where like these guys are getting paid millions of dollars to talk about sports and they really don't know shit about the sport? Like they barely watch it.
That's just a ratings thing, right? Like
Yeah.
that's going to cause controversy. That's going to be seen on YouTube. It's going to be played on probably Canadian television when people get a hold. It's just going to cause controversy, get you views. I get it, but like you said, just ignorant and not true.
Yeah. I mean, Max Kellerman said, like, Max Kellerman is a boxing guy. Like, that's what like, if he was to talk about boxing, I'm like, I'm all ears because I trust that you know what you're talking about when it comes to boxing because that's your sport. If Stephen A talks about basketball, I'm all ears because that was what he did. He was a journalist for basketball. But like when they start getting into like baseball, and they only talk about baseball like when it's convenient for them. Right? They don't talk about baseball like if it's just like, this team won last night. They don't do that like they do with the NBA. They'll fucking discuss the score of the basketball game and break it down. They'll do a show on a basketball game that was longer than the actual basketball game.
Yeah, well, it's like undisputed, right? I feel like every show is the same 4 topics.
Oh my god, it's LeBron
Like
James.
it's
It's
LeBron James, like that's for basketball, it's KD versus LeBron, like you know what I mean? It's the
or it's the
same.
Dallas Cowboys or it's
Yeah,
this. I'm like, god damn it.
It's
So
yeah.
exhausting. But anyway, so the NHL gets a big deal. Hopefully, this will boost ratings in the in the American side of the market. I mean, the Canadian side's always going to be everyone's always going to watch here in Canada. Another kind of off the ice thing that happened last week was Walter Gretzky died. If you don't know, that's Wayne Gretzky's father. And there's like all this stuff going on in the media about, you know, famous stories about Walter Gretzky just building rinks for Wayne, um, that he could go out and practice on. And then obviously Wayne turned into the greatest hockey player that's ever picked up a stick. And the idea that if Walter Gretzky hadn't made those rinks, then we wouldn't have Wayne Gretzky, and that the league would not look anything like it does right now. Um, things like expansion into the US, like the southern teams. Like when Wayne Gretzky got traded to LA, like the whole dynamic of hockey changed. Like it became popular, despite what Max Kellerman says. It became popular so much that the league is now expanded to 32 teams. They can do these ESPN deals like Wayne Gretzky. And then if you take that a step further, Walter Gretzky are really to thank for that. And
And
so
there's no chance we see how there's three current teams in California. You got the Kings, Sharks, Ducks. That does not happen if there's no Wayne Gretzky and if there's no Wayne Gretzky trade. And then at the same time, when do we? This is just an interesting question to add on to. When do you think we get to see Walter Gretzky as a builder in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
I mean that is an interesting question. I
You know,
I
it
don't
is.
think it will happen.
You don't
I
think
don't think
so?
it will happen.
I
Now,
think there's a case to be made there.
I mean, I guess there is a case to be made, but I don't think that he'll that the Hockey Hall of Fame will induct him. Just I mean, I guess I'm like contradicting what I just said, but like directly he had nothing to do with the NHL.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like
Right.
I still think there's a case to be made, right?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be cool to have, Walter and Wayne in the hall together. Um but yeah, that's excellent. There was like great tributes of like people in Brant. I saw this one thing. It was so funny. It was at the Brantford Arena. There's a parking space reserved just for Walter.
Really?
Yeah, and it says like Mayor Walter Gretzky on it. Like that's
That's
his
awesome.
spot. Um, and then when the motorcade was coming down, everybody's out there stick tapping or holding their sticks up. So obviously he was loved in the community of Brantford.
I heard a story. He was at a game with his other son watching Wayne, and there was a reporter, so they were just asking his other son, "Wow, you guys are here a lot, like a while after the game. Like you're not leaving anytime soon." He goes, "We won't be leaving till Dad signs an autograph for every person who wants one." And that was just the kind of guy he was. Like you never hear a bad thing about him, right?
Right. I heard stories of like in the 93 Stanley Cup playoffs when they were playing the Maple when the Kings were playing the Maple Leafs. That was a great series. I think Damien Cox did a book on it. It's a really good book. Um, but they talk about and they show video of, Wayne goes out and he scores a hat trick in game 7 and he's sitting across the ice where his dad is in the stands and he just points to his dad and just like smiles and they just kind of have that little moment together and they caught it on camera, which is pretty cool.
That is
Um,
cool.
Kerry Fraser also fucked the Leafs out of a Stanley Cup final that year, but
The infamous high
whatever,
stick. Yeah, the infamous high
whatever.
stick.
I gotta get this off my chest for people that don't know. What happened was Wayne. It was Game 6. Okay, I believe it was overtime. Doug Gilmour, he's coming into the zone. Wayne Gretzky, he gets the stick up on Gilmour, clips him, and Gilmour goes down. Now, Kerry Fraser, who was the referee, they only had a referee and 2 linesmen back in the day. Kerry Fraser did not see the high stick, but the linesman did. So they come together, they're talking about it, and Fraser says, "I didn't see the high stick." Linesman says, I did. The thing is, if a linesman calls a penalty, it's a game misconduct. So they're standing there thinking, we cannot kick Wayne Gretzky out of a game 6 overtime. So what do? Nothing. Nothing. They did nothing. They come back. Kings come down. They score on the Maple Leafs. They go into game 7. Kings win. Gretzky has what he says, I believe, the best game he's ever played. But yeah, so Kerry Fraser should like never walk the streets of Toronto because he'll be.
We also that year we missed out on a Leafs Habs Stanley Cup final, possibly.
I know. How cool would that have been?
That would have been very cool.
But whatever. I digress.
Anyways,
people are like, Tucker, it was 28 years ago. Get over it. Yeah, well, I'm still salty about it. So now we'll get on to well, actually, no, we will stay off the ice again. Evander Kane's contract could be voided by the San Jose Sharks.
So this is about his bankruptcy, correct?
Yeah.
And I know before the year there was discussions about this, and it's just, isn't this like surprising timing? Halfway through the year now, you're like, actually, yeah, no, I should probably avoid it and deal with that. Just the timing just seems very odd to me.
Well, so I was talking to my dad actually about this. I was like, yeah, I don't know like how, because they said they went to the government, the U.S. government, and they said like, that they're going to void this, or they're thinking about voiding the contract, because Dad said that back in the day that if you owed money, let's say to the IRS, or you owed it, to the government, taxes, that they could start taking increments off of your wage that you get from work to pay back whatever you owe, which is, I think, basically what was happening with Evander Kane. Although he did declare bankruptcy, I think they were taking some of the money away from his paycheck. But basically what happens is like now the San Jose Sharks are involved. Like they have to collect the money basically from Evander Kane. So if they just void the contract, they can completely get out of it. They're like, this is not like, we didn't go to the casino and bet and lose $1.6 million. Like he did. Let him handle this. So they can void, they're trying to void it, thinking about what they can do. Of course, this is going to be a huge NHLPA issue. They're going to get involved and it's going to go to court most likely. And but yeah, Evander Kane had, when he went bankrupt, he listed he had $10 million in assets, $26 million in liabilities. Now we're both in business. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is not good for a guy who he has a nice contract too to begin with. Like you got to think there's some you got to get a little carried away to get that much in debt.
I was reading over like some jokes that I read on Twitter, and I was like, I'm not going to show those. Like, those are too mean. Like, those are mean towards Evander Kane. Jokes like, it's great when you can wake up and have a better credit score than a professional athlete. That was one of the jokes. I was like, that's not good. I was like, you can't say stuff like that. And then one of them was like, Ray Charles is better at poker than Evander Kane is. I was like, that's rude. Can't say that. Like, come on, man. Can't say that stuff. But anyways, yeah, so Evander Kane, I don't know. I don't know what will happen with him. I mean, he's having a good year too. Like, that's the thing. He's having a really good year for the Sharks.
Yeah,
Sharks
I know. I have him on one of my fantasy teams.
How's he doing for you? Good?
Good, yeah.
In the lineup regularly?
Oh yeah.
Attaboy.
We play with hits and penalty minutes too. So he gets a lot of power play points as well. So he's good for a lot of different categories. Good fantasy player.
Right on. I like to hear it. So now we will move in to the actual NHL. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each division, kind of give you our synopsis on each division. What we think of all the, what we think of the teams, where we think everyone's going. Maybe some trade deadline, like what they might be looking for, type stuff like that. Whatever just comes off the whatever we just think of. So where do you want to start, Kurt? You want to start up in the north or
Yeah, you might as well. We'll start with the North.
okay? Do you want to get into the awards now or at the end?
Yeah, we'll start off with the awards first for each division. Then we'll get into a little in depth and division, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Um, so yeah, let's get in. Okay, so let's do some awards. Um, so who do you have? So we're doing the Hart, the Norris, the Calder, and the Vezina. Basically
Yeah.
just opinionated awards. We're not going to do any of the
Do you want me to?
statistical ones.
You want to be the lead? You want me to be the leadoff hitter here? You want me to get it
I'll be the
started?
leadoff hitter. I'll be the leadoff here. I'll
All right,
all right. So
George
for
Springer, let's do it.
the yeah, exactly. For the Hart Trophy in the North Division, I have Connor McDavid winning it. The Edmonton Oilers are currently in second in the division. Connor McDavid has 16 goals, 32 assists for 48 points in 28 games played. Kurt, what do you have? Who do you have for the Hart?
I have the same pick. That's might have been the easiest pick I was able to make
Yeah.
throughout this whole thing.
Oh, by the way, before we get way too in it, we both just talked about McDavid. I've had people wanting an apology. Kurt has brought this to my attention.
Some of the viewers have reached out to me and said Tucker was really disrespectful with some of his takes on Connor McDavid the other week. And I said, don't worry, I know. I agree with you. We'll have to do something about it. So I kind of brought this up to him. So now I've left it up to him to decide if he wants to proceed with the apology or double down. So you're up.
So again, it came to my attention that I should apologize for saying that Connor McDavid was not the most skilled hockey player in the NHL. I said he was the best, but I said he was not the most skilled. People want an apology. Kurt told me this last week, and I said, okay. I said, all right. So I sat down with my feelings, with my thoughts about Connor McDavid, and I actually recorded it. I don't know if Kurt knows this. I recorded just a little clip of me apologizing to Connor McDavid fans, to hockey fans all around, that's saying Connor McDavid is not the best, the most skilled hockey player in the world. So here it is.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
Yeah, get him, Connor.
I knew exactly when you said you had recorded it that you were going to play that too. I had
Yeah.
not heard it. You hadn't told me that before. I knew right away.
Well, I'll tell you right now, and I'll tell you, because Kurt was like, I'm waiting for your apology today. I sat down, I formulated my thoughts on why Connor McDavid is not the most skilled hockey player. Okay. You ready for him? You ready for it, Kurt?
Yeah.
All right, here it is.
Let's hear it.
All right. Connor McDavid's biggest thing is that he is fast, is that he can do the things that he does at the speed in which he can do them, right? He is the fastest player in the league, although Ilya Mikheyev, he's putting that up for debate. Did you see that? They had a little race there.
Yes, but Connor McDavid was from a stop. Mikheyev had, 3 steps on him, was in full speed before he even turned around. Mikheyev is fast. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he's not, but to say he would have beat him I think if they were both from a stop, I think McDavid beats pretty much everyone.
We'll have to watch the tape again. So Connor McDavid, his thing is that he's the fastest player and that he can do the things that he does at the speed in which he does them. That is what makes him special. That is what makes him dangerous. That is his thing. Just like Wayne Gretzky was the smartest player in the NHL. That was his thing. That's how he became great. Just like Sidney Crosby, he was a hard worker. That's how he became great. That was his thing, right? Okay. But my thing is that you can't teach speed. You can improve it a little bit. You can teach proper technique, but you're either fast or you're not. You either have a lot of fast twitch muscles or you do not. even at the best shape of my life, playing football, I was like the 4th slowest guy on the team. And one of the guys that I beat was 300 pounds at 16 years old. Okay. So, and I was like, I don't know, 5'8", 195 pounds. And I was like, I am barely beating this guy. Like, I am so slow. I am just I'm deceptively slow. I'm a lot slower than I look. Okay. So you cannot teach speed, just like you cannot teach size. Like, say, as Zdeno Chara, he is effective defensively because of his size. You cannot teach that. Okay. But what are things you can teach? Things like shooting, like how hard your shot is, how accurate it is, how good of a passer you are, how good at defense you are, like picking pockets, how good are you at faceoffs, these other facets of the game. At other facets of the game, there are players that are better at him than he is. So my point is, if you were to pick a player, Patrick Kane, Austin Matthews, Sidney Crosby, and you were to give them Connor McDavid's speed, okay? So now it's even. So now they're both as fast as they are, okay? And then you're like, now let's see who's better. Connor McDavid would not be better than those guys. If you gave Austin Matthews or Patrick Kane or Artemi Panarin or Nikita Kucherov and you gave them Connor McDavid's speed, they would be a more skilled hockey player. That was the point I was trying to make.
I think that's good that you clarified that. And you know what? I'm kind of glad you doubled down on that because I like that. I like if you have a take, I like when you double down it. But all I'm gonna say is you're acting like he's the only fast player who's ever played in the NHL. You just told me that Ilya Mikheyev was the same speed as him. How come Ilya Mikheyev has 2 goals this year and 10 points and he has 48? It's not because he's fast. It's because he does everything so much better and faster than everyone else. He stops and starts like no one who's ever played the game. He cuts corners, beats defenders like no one who's ever played the game. Not like no one who's played last year, the year before, ever. Like, he is the best skater probably to ever touch the ice. And that is a skill that you don't teach speed, but the ability to use your speed and to beat defenders, that is skill.
The reason Ilya Mikheyev only has 2 goals is because he's not an overly skilled player. Like, Connor McDavid is a more skilled player than Ilya Mikheyev. That's why he has more points and more goals. But
do you know what
Go ahead.
Do you know what Mikheyev is? I always make this. I always tell people this. Every team has this type of player. They're very fast. They can't score goals. They can't stick handle. They play on the penalty kill and they just work really hard. That is Ilya Mikheyev. It's like the Capitals is Carl Hagelin.
I used to play with a guy like that. Like, we would play hockey and he was just like so much faster than everybody else, but he had just like no finish.
Couldn't stick handle.
Dude, I would give him I'd play D and I'd just give him like the sweetest sauces you've ever seen in your life. And then he would just race around everybody and then just fucking blow it at the end. And you're like, really, bro?
Is there anything worse than a guy who's just really fast like that and just can't take a pass or stick handle or shoot? And you're just like, can I borrow that speed?
Dude, that guy pissed me off so bad one time because we were playing in like a tournament and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to play forward. And so I just went out for forward for like the 3rd period and I got a clean cut breakaway off the face-off. And this guy starts a fucking fight behind me. I was like, I am going to kick this guy's ass when I get into the locker room. I'm sitting on like 2 goals all year and then I get a breakaway and you fuck it up for me. God damn it, man.
That's bad. Anyways, that's a selfish play.
That is a selfish play. I'm not a fan of it. I actually played with a girl one time on the team and she was like, just like zero skill. Like, she was just out there for a good time, I guess, but zero skill. And she could not take a pass. And like, honestly, like, I think I was actually a decent, like I could actually, fire that puck around pretty good. So one time she just like could never take a pass all year. So I just took I took a wrist shot as hard as I could and I just hit her in the ass as she's skating up ice. I was like, fucking handle that.
Jesus.
Anyways, I was kind of a dick. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of a dick out there on the ice, but It's whatever. It's fine.
Anyways,
Don't worry about it.
all right, let's keep rolling with these awards.
Yeah. So for the Norris in the North, I have Morgan Riley. Who do you? Morgan Riley has, by the way, 3 goals, 17 assists for 20 points in 27 games. Who do you have for the Norris?
I mean, I guess everyone's subject to their opinions. Some are just wrong though, and that's one. Jeff Petrie should be the answer. This guy has had an exceptional year. 10 goals, 24 points. He's a plus 16 too. Okay, actually, I mentioned that, but like that's a skewed stat. We both know that probably. So, but I'll just say
I love
for
plus
a
minus.
team that really, I'm not like
I love it.
use it. I don't love it. I use it. It's just you have to know how to use it properly, right? I
Yeah.
know. I remember when Ekman Larson was having his best years. He was like negative 20, but like me and you could we knew that okay, well he's stuck in Arizona. Obviously, he's just not. He's what can he do, right?
No, yeah,
So
that makes sense.
you got to know what you're looking for when you're looking at it. But like I guess it is still a stat. It's useful. It does have a purpose, anyways. But yeah, I got Jeff Petrie. I think he's been by far the best defenseman in that division. But I guess Morgan Riley obviously is a good defenseman too. But Jeff Petrie's been unbelievable this year so far.
Yeah, I just like Riley just because of his all-around game. Like, I heard some people take Quinn Hughes, but then I was like, Quinn Hughes is like a minus 16.
He's been
like,
really
how can
bad in
you
his
do
own
that?
end.
Yeah,
he's been really
terrible.
bad in his own end.
He's a 4th forward.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, I don't mind Petrie. Like, kind of Petrie would have been the other guy I would have went with. But I just like Riley's overall game, like all around.
Probably hard for you to pick a Hab too.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like the Habs too. That's just another thing.
Viewers know that.
Yeah, viewers know that. And if you're a Habs fan, if you're a Habs fan, I dare you to come on this show. I will light your ass up with all these drops that I got, all these sound drops that I got. I got Donald Trump in the background yelling wrong. All right, who do you got
the Calder here?
Who do you have for the Calder?
I got Jimmy Stützle in Ottawa. I mean, it was going to be someone on Ottawa. Jimmy Stützle. That's what they call him, Jimmy. Tim Stützle, but they call him Jimmy. I'm not making that up. It's Jimmy Stu. But yeah, 15 points this year on a very bad Ottawa Senators team, but he's been the one bright spot. I think he's going to be a great player. He looks like he's going to be a true top line player, and he's came in and he hasn't missed a beat so far. He's been really productive so far.
No, he's been really good. He's my pick as well. I just think, he has a lot of confidence, the things that he can do with the puck, playing against these older guys and bigger guys and whatnot. He just has the utmost confidence, which obviously translates to being a good player. Now, the Vezina, did you find that this division, the North Division, was the hardest to pick a Vezina for?
Yeah, because there was no one who really stood out.
No.
It's almost, I didn't want to give a Vezina to anyone.
Like, I think the North has 4, maybe like 4 of the top 6 scorers in the NHL. And so like none of the goalies have like tremendous stats. So it's very, very hard to pick a Vezina for it. I picked Hellebuck because of his 12 wins, his 912 save percentage, and his 2.75 goals against. Who did you have?
Yeah, I had Connor Hellebuck as well. And not just because of the stats you named too, but that defense is very, very mediocre. You can look at his stats and say, oh, they're good, but they could be better. If you're talking about Vezina, it's like, yeah, they could be better, but so could his defense. And every team that has a goalie with good stats has a good defense. He doesn't have that to his advantage. So I think for what his stats are and how many wins and what he's done for that team, they've looked a lot better of late too. And I think he's definitely the best goalie so far this year in that division.
Yeah, they're currently holding down the 3rd position in the North Division. They'll play Toronto again on Saturday. We'll see how that goes. So you had some thoughts a few weeks ago about this Canadian division. What you want to talk about those?
Yeah, I still have some thoughts, and this division though is starting to look a little more like I would have thought in the off season. I like Toronto's still playing really good. Like they've had a good year. I say they have a tough few games, but that happens to everyone. I'm not overlooking too much into that. I think too many people I've seen are just getting so frustrated. Like that happens to everyone. Like there's adversity in every season. There's adversity for every team. Like you're never gonna go through a stretch where you don't lose a few that you wanted back, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I thought this season, like the top 2 or 3 would be pretty close. And I think come season's end, yeah, it's probably gonna be like that. I think Winnipeg and Toronto are pretty close. We saw it's a 1-1 series so far. I think they've been some pretty decent games. The Jets are banged up the first time around. Austin Matthews still isn't at 100%. So it'll be a fun game tonight. But I think between the Oilers, the Habs, the Jets, and the Leafs, that playoff is going to be a little closer than the standings say too, because all those teams have played some decent games against each other.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, there's been people that in the media and whatnot that are going on about this, North Division, this Canadian division, that and how bad it is. It's not a good division. It's not a representation of how good these teams are, or how it's not a good representation of where the teams actually are. I gotta say, that's for every division. No two divisions are playing at all this year until they get to the conference finals, if you want to call them that. So I think it's unfair to say that. I mean, I would say the East is the best division just by history.
I was just about to say, just based on because I watched a lot of that division just because I kind of have to, right? The Capitals are in that division.
Mhm.
Outside of Buffalo, even the Devils are a young team that just cause you issues, and they win games against teams where they just don't quit. And Mackenzie Blackwood's been really good. And I think there's a lot of elite teams in that division. That's the only division I can clearly say, yeah, that's the number 1 division. But you could argue for every division to be 2 through 4. So like you said, I've noticed there's some bad teams in each division, and there's a couple teams that have separated themselves as well. I mean, if I were, my rankings might be different than yours that way, but yeah, the East is the only one that I have a definite position of where I would rank that division.
Yeah, I would put it at number 1, but for the most part of the season, the Leafs, currently we're recording this on Thursday, so they haven't played against Winnipeg yet. The third time around, I guess. Second time in this series. Up until this 3-game losing streak that the Leafs are on, really what was happening was you had 6 teams, excluding Ottawa, that were fairly close in the standings. And then you had the Leafs kind of running away with it, and you had Ottawa falling behind. Now, what that tells me is if every team has struggled this year, every team has had poor goaltending at one point or another, they're all close in the standings. What does that tell me? It tells me that all the teams are fairly even teams. Now, what is more likely? You have, do you think it's rather 6 teams suck within one division, or that one team is just really good? I think it's way more likely you have one team that's just really, really good. And, the other teams I think are average. They're around the average, but some are above, some are below. But I think to just dismiss this division is just insane. But anyways, that was kind of my little thing about the North Division. What do you think of the Daryl Sutter hiring in Calgary?
I think they knew they needed some urgency, and he's a guy that he'll get the most out of his players right away, right? In Calgary, they had to do something because that team is just on a downward spiral. They do not look good, and I think it might be too late. Like there's still obviously there's a chance they can catch probably the Habs, but like the Oilers are winning still, the Jets are winning, and the Habs they've won 4 or 5 straight now. Like I think that those bottom 3 teams you can almost eliminate them, and it's getting to the point where this was the last chance they have to win now. So yeah, he's a guy that he just pushed the first practice they were doing suicides, right? He's that kind of coach. So we'll see, but he's there for one reason, is to just try to wake them up, almost get the most out of those guys, because if they don't, there's gonna be some big changes in Calgary this offseason.
Well, I think I heard somewhere that it was like a 3-year deal they gave him. I think 3 or 4-year deal to coach the team. Right now they're in 6th. They're 1 point behind Vancouver. They're 6 points behind Montreal for a playoff spot. I totally agree with you. I mean, they're below 500. I totally agree with you that there's just something off about that team. Like I don't know. I think it's a depth problem. I don't think they have enough depth.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I agree with you for sure. Their depth
obviously
is noticeably bad this year.
obviously they lost half their defense last summer. You know, TJ Brody and or no, they lost two. They lost TJ Brody and Travis Hamonic, although they
I did
picked up
think
Chris Tanev.
yeah, I was gonna say I do think Chris Tanev, I thought for sure Chris Tanev and Jacob Markstrom, I'm gonna admit I had them a lot higher. Like I thought they would be competing for that, especially a playoff spot easily. But I thought
Mhm.
they would be possibly even the number 1 or 2 seed. But I was definitely wrong on that. I think a lot of people had them, a lot of experts had them in the top 2. So
Oh
this
yeah.
came as a surprise, but even I don't think they get enough right now from their star players either. Their star players have not been consistently good. And when you look around the North Division, there's a lot of star players who are producing a lot. And they're not like even Vancouver, you go out there, another team who hasn't got the production from their stars, right? And look where
Mhm.
they sit.
Yeah, I totally agree that Calgary just they're not getting enough. Basically, just everybody is underproducing at this point. Nobody is really coming out. Markstrom has taken a real step, and it might be the fact that they're having to play all Canadian teams. They're playing the top scorers. I don't know, but Markstrom has taken a step back this year. That he's not the same goalie he was in Vancouver, where he was a Vezina finalist. Um, he's been kind of mediocre right now in Calgary. Um, Hopefully Daryl Sutter can turn it around. I mean, Daryl Sutter obviously is a great coach. I didn't really expect him to get back into coaching. Once he kind of left LA, you didn't really hear anything, and I just assumed he was kind of done with it. But now he's back, his second time around in Calgary. It's pretty exciting. Um, so let's move on to the East Division. We'll go through our awards again. For the Hart Trophy, this might be surprising. For the Hart Trophy in the East, I actually have Sidney Crosby. 9 goals, 15 points for 24 points, or 15 assists, 24 points, sorry, in 24 games. So he's a point a game. Currently, Pittsburgh is in third place. They're on a roll. Like their last 10, I think they're 7-3. So they're rolling. They've had injury problems. And the fact that they, like 2 weeks ago, I said that they were dead in the water. I was like, they're done. They like trade everybody. But they're making a comeback, and they're only 5 points off New York right now, and they're 3 points off Washington. So we'll see where they go. But yeah, I got Crosby. What about you, man?
I currently have Nick Backstrom. I think if you look at the man games lost for Washington throughout the year, just injuries, suspensions, and especially the COVID when they were down for key guys for a couple weeks there. Nick Backstrom has been unbelievable so far. He's off to the best start he's had since I want to say like 2011 or 2012 when he had 100 plus points. I mean, he's productive every year, but he's playing his best hockey I've seen in a while, and he's shooting a lot more. He's leading the team in goals, or tied for the lead right now with Jacob Vrana. So on a team like it seems like a lot of teams are taking away that Ovechkin faceoff circle and playing it as a 4-on-3 for our power play. Backstrom's begin shooting more. He's super creative, such a great playmaker, and through 25 games, he has 10 goals, 19 assists for 29 points, most points in that division.
Hmm.
It wasn't an easy choice for me because I think Brad Marchand and Matt Barzal is another one. They both been unbelievable, but I give with the points and how productive he's been with all those man games lost so far, and especially that they're staying on pace for that first place. I think Backstrom gets the advantage so far.
Yeah. I like the pick. I really do. It is weird. Like Backstrom seemed to have had like this kind of like almost like a second wind to like his career. Like he was really good, like 10 years ago, obviously, when he had his over 100 points, and then like the last like 3 years, like he's really come alive again. It's kind of exciting to see. Um,
Yeah,
so
he's one of those guys that I was gonna say I think he's gonna be one of those guys you don't talk about this decade in the Hall of Fame, but I think he's for sure gonna be a Hall of Famer.
oh yeah, I think so. I definitely think so. Um, For the Norris, I got John Carlson, 5 goals, 20 assists, 25 points in 24 games played. So I went with your home team there. There, buddy.
Yeah, no, watching John Carlson, that guy, he's fantastic. His offensive instincts too for a defenseman, and for his size, just the way he gets up the ice, he's incredible one timer too. That's why another reason when that 4-on-3 power play, when they take away the Ovechkin, the Capitals are fine with that. You have Carlson that can play that one timer role, and it's very effective. So I like that pick, but I'm going Charlie McAvoy. I think
Okay.
so far the guy's playing over 23, almost 24 minutes a game against the other team's top players. He's really physical. He's got 17 points, and a team. We all said that Boston's defense could be an issue, right? They lost Krug, Chara. Who's going to pick up the slack? It's been Charlie McAvoy. So I'm going with Charlie McAvoy as my pick for the Norris from the East.
I don't mind that pick. I don't mind the pick at all. Who do you have for your Calder?
I have Vitek Vanacek. This one was tough because the East is the one division that didn't have a lot of great rookies. And even that Vitek's been really good this year. The last little bit, I think he's been not as good as he was, but Samsonov has played still only 4 games this year. He was supposed to be the starting guy because he had COVID, right? So he's missed a lot of time. Vitek Vanacek has hung in there and led this team to, I think they have 34 points so far. The Islanders have 36 with the game in hand. So they're right up there for first place, right on pace with the Islanders. And he's a big reason why. And I think that's huge.
He is. Like I was on the verge of taking him. I really was. I probably should have taken him now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I mean, the fact that he's stepped in as a rookie and he's helping this team, be on pace to win the division, is pretty incredible. For me, I took Ty Smith, the defenseman from New Jersey. He has 2 goals, 10 assists for 12 points in 22 games. So we were just talking about how New Jersey is kind of one of those young teams that just is like a pest.
Yep.
They just bother you. Ty Smith is kind of one of those players. He's kind of under the radar, but he's doing really well.
He's a great offensive defenseman too, as a young defenseman. He's a key piece in that power play now already. I love his ability to move the puck up the ice to skate. I think he's gonna be really good. It was tough. I was Vitek or Ty Smith, but I gave Vitek the edge just because maybe it's because of the position and the standings. But yeah, Ty Smith has been really good so far this year. I like that pick.
Yeah, I agree though. The East was a hard division to pick for your Calder. Who did you get for the Vezina?
Simeon Varlamov. What hasn't he done this year for that team? Like I'm pretty sure they're in the top 3 in goals against, top 5. Maybe that's a Barry Trotz system thing. I know how good he is as a defensive coach. He loves his close 3-2 wins. But yeah, he's been amazing this year. He has 12 wins, 2.03 GAA, I think a .929 save percentage. It's hard those are hard stats to keep for a full year, but we're already halfway, and those are pretty exceptional numbers.
Yeah, man. Like the Islanders just like keep on chugging. Like going into this year, I was like, they can't do it again. Like, I mean, I thought I thought they overperformed the last 2-3 years, but like they're still there. And you're like, man, like Barry Trotz is either the greatest coach in the NHL right now, or I'm just sleeping on the New York Islanders. But
I think it's probably a little bit of both because he's the one that got the Caps over the edge, right? And as soon as he implemented that system in New York, look how they've played. They're one of the best teams in the NHL for the last 3 years. I think they've took another step this year, and they're gonna be a tough out no matter who they play. Every round they make it to, if it's for whatever it is, they're gonna be a tough out.
Yeah, 100%. So, Kurt, you are wearing your Tom Wilson jersey. Speak on that.
Wow, this is gonna really get me going here because I was not a fan of that 7-game suspension. If you looked at the hit, you slowed it down. First of all, it was a hit to the left shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. It was not his head. It rode up, And unfortunately, hopefully Brandon Carlo can return soon, but unfortunately the player got hurt. But it was a high, hard hit. That's not a suspendable offense. You're allowed to hit high and hard. You're not allowed to hit in the head, but it wasn't to the head. So this one really grinds my gears. And 7 games in a 56 game season. That I think that was absolutely overkill. And if it was anyone else, this would not even been a suspendable hit. So yeah, that one upset me.
Well, I think you're right with saying that if it was anybody else, it wouldn't be a suspendable hit. But isn't that Tom Wilson's fault? Like, I mean, his last suspension was a 20-game suspension, right? So, like, obviously, he's a repeat offender, as they call it. And so, you're the suspensions and fines and whatnot, they increase incrementally if you are a repeat offender. Like, I agree. I don't think if it was to be a suspension, I could see a 1-2 game suspension. And actually, like, those 1-2 game suspensions this year, they, like, in previous years they were like, who the fuck cares? It's a 1-2 game suspension. But now this year, especially, they matter because you're playing those teams 2-3 games in a row. So if you're, the Capitals and you're playing Boston 2 games in a row and Tom Wilson gets, or 2 or 3 games in a row and Tom Wilson gets suspended on the first game, well, now Boston has a chance to actually take advantage of that. It's not just penalizing the Capitals anymore, or Team A, if you want to say that. It's actually helping the other team that you got suspended against. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. And I do agree. Yeah, he has a history, but it's been 2 years since he was suspended last. And I really think that he's tried to turn his game into he can't not play physical. It's part of his game. And I think he's done a really good job, especially the last 2 years, of cleaning up the act and just hard hits, but clean. And I really did think this was one of those hits, but it was just the result was unfortunate. And I think that swayed the decision. And I don't like that. If you're gonna stick to a pattern when it comes to these suspensions, the result of an injury is unfortunate, but that shouldn't make that a 7 game suspension. You know what I mean?
I agree totally. I don't think that he should have got suspended, especially for 7 games. 7 games is a lot for kind of a questionable. Even if it was 2 minutes, that's fine. Like, even a 4-minute penalty, okay, whatever. But yeah, a 7-game suspension, that's a lot. It is what it is now. I mean, I suppose he could appeal it, get it down, but
No, they said he's not appealing it because the decision, it takes too long. Most likely the suspension would already be done. It's just that comes down to he might save himself some salary because he pays salary for getting when he gets suspended, but they already decide they're not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 2 games in, they're 2-0 without him. So hopefully you just hang on. He's our first line winger. He plays in our top 6 consistently. He's very productive. So hopefully we can survive this, keep pace with the Islanders, and get him back as soon as possible.
I like, when Tom Wilson first came into the league, I was like, I don't know about this guy, but I like him now. I mean, I like a guy that plays a physical game, that, he's a power forward type. I was talking to a guy who used to play, he played for the Otters, Johnny McGuire. He used to play for the Otters, and then he went on to play in the AHL for Rochester. And he said that he goes, nobody wanted to fight Tom Wilson. He was like, that guy was a psycho. He was like, don't even get near him. He's a psycho, man. But yeah, so now that guy plays in the NHL, which is hilarious.
I have a little bit of news first. I just got word that Marc-Andre Fleury was placed on the COVID list, so that could be some news for the Knights. A little bit of trouble there, but I think Robin Leonard should be returning soon, right?
I think so.
So, but that's an interesting one. I mean, we see this very often now when in a COVID times like this, right? Especially this year, it could happen overnight. You never know. You could wake up a couple hours before the game and someone might not be able to play. So you got to be prepared.
You got to be ready to go. Next man up. Let's go on to the Central now. Who do you got for the Hart in the Central?
Patrick Kane. This guy just won't stop. what is it? I think he has 38 points in 27 games so far this year. Team
Yep.
that lost Kirby Doc and Jonathan Tays before the year even started, and this guy is carrying them. So,
I love it.
and shout out he has 1,000th game and was it 400th
400th
goal
goal.
last week? So, shout out to Patrick Kane for that. And yeah, that's my pick for the Hart.
Yeah, I have the same pick. Before the season started, I might have said that Chicago was the worst team in the NHL. That nowhere were they a good team. Like at no facet of their game was what I consider good. And the fact that they're doing so well and he's the best player on the team, that means I think he is deserving of the Hart Trophy. I think he's like third in points or fourth in points, something like that. Yeah, so Patrick Kane, we're on the same page with that. Who do you got for the Norris?
I think this one will probably be on the same page, but Victor Hedman seems like a easy pick for that so far. He plays like 25 minutes a game, 25 points so far, +9. So he's been a stud for how many years, right? I feel like he's in that conversation for the league Norris every single year. And he could be the best defenseman in the NHL. So that's my pick for
I agree. I definitely agree. I have Hedman as well. I just think he's just a dynamite player. He's just a dynamite player that year in and year out continues to produce for the team. Who do you have for your Calder?
the goaltender in Chicago, Lankinen. Now, this could be one of the surprises, I think, of the year. And we were talking about how important Patrick Kane was. I think is it Kevin Lankinen, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think here. I think it's 9 wins, 2.76 GAA, 919 save percentage as a rookie. Keeping a team, like you said, I thought they were done once they lost those two guys, Doc and Tays, before the year. And they're hanging in there, playoff spot, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, Kevin Lankinen gets my vote.
Yeah, right now they're currently fourth. They're 6 points up on Columbus. Wow. I did not know that. Wow, they are killing it. I have him as well. That's my pick. A goalie for the Calder. First time we see that. Doing this little game. Who do you got for the Vezina?
No, I feel like we're probably going to agree, but this was so far it looks like this has been the easiest division to make these picks, and I think this one just falls in that category again. It's Vasilevsky, easy pick. Look how much better Tampa Bay has been without Kucherov. I think they've been the best team in the NHL without him already. And imagine when the playoffs they just get Nikita Kucherov, their best player, back. This team is going to be yeah. I do not want to play the Lightning, that's for sure.
Dude, we're 4 for 4. I got Vasilevsky as well. I mean, 936 save percentage, 1.79 goals against. And he was on I think he was on like a 3-game shutout streak at one point. It was just insane.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's wild what he's been able to do this year. What do you think about what has been going on in Columbus? Patrick Laine has been struggling again for the Blue Jackets. Obviously, he was traded earlier in the year from Winnipeg. There was rumors that Tortorella would get fired, and then Jarmo Kekalainen came out and he said no, he's not getting fired. Like, what do you think is going on there? Like,
I don't really think there's anything going on. I just think that team, the lack of skill is starting to catch up to them. Because if you look at that roster, like it's an okay roster, but I think they've overachieved for sure. And Tortorella has a history as a coach. He tends to wear off, and once he wears off, the team doesn't perform because he's kind of like a Daryl Sutter. Like he's very in your face, in your ear, gets the most out of his guys at first, right? But then once you've heard it for so many years, it tends to not stick around. So I'm wondering if we've got to that point. So maybe that is an offseason move we see coming. But they looked so good earlier, and especially in the bubble last year, they looked like they had found something. And you thought adding Jack Roslovic, adding Patrick Laine, a little bit of skill into that lineup, maybe that was what they needed. But I don't know. It just seems like their lineup as a whole just it isn't as good as the other lineups in that division.
No, and Patrick Laine, I mean, that's just a different discussion. I don't know, like the guy can't get going in Columbus either. I mean, it just it's alarming to have a guy with this much talent, and he's kind of pissing it away, quite honestly. But we can leave that for later. Um, I think that kind of covered. Well, actually, no. How good has Florida been?
Yeah, they might be the surprise of the year. Actually, they've been unbelievable so far.
Like it's so crazy. Like when I looked at Florida, I was like, I mean, they're all right. Like they might make the playoffs in that division. They're killing it. Like they got 36 points. They're 2 points behind Tampa. Granted, Tampa has a game in hand, but I mean, they've just been electric this year.
Yeah, they've been a fun team to watch. I mean, they do have a lot of good young offensive skill players still, but yeah, they've gotten production from a lot of different guys. So that's good for Florida.
The Patrick Hornquist addition has really helped them, a big net front presence for them. We'll move on to the last division, to the West. Kurt, what do you got for the Hart Trophy in the West?
I have Mark Stone. Probably
Okay.
you can make a case the best two-way player in hockey, but definitely the best two-way winger. And his
without a
20,
doubt.
yeah, his 28 points in 22 games, best player so far on the Knights, first place. So yeah, that's my pick.
I like it. I mean, I'm a big fan. Honestly, like when Mark Stone was in Ottawa, you were kind of just like, I mean, I know of Mark Stone, I know. And then his last couple years in Ottawa and now in Vegas, I mean, he just defensively, he's just so good. He's
Yeah,
such a good player.
he really is.
For me, I have Anze Kopitar from the Kings.
Yeah, that's a good pick too.
7 goals, 24 assists for 31 points in 25 games for the 5th place Los Angeles Kings. Again, Los Angeles is one of those other teams where you're just kind of like, they're okay. They're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but they're okay. But right now, they're 2 points out of a playoff spot behind Colorado. Again, Colorado has a game in hand, but they're only 2 points. Their next game, Friday, is against Colorado. So we'll see. Maybe by the end of the weekend they have a playoff spot secured, or they're in a playoff spot rather, and make some stuff happen in the playoffs. But we'll see. What about the Norris, bud?
You know what? This one, it kind of, when I was looking at the stats, and it's like this guy the last couple of years kind of gotten on my nerves. He's made some comments. He thinks this is still 2015, but you know what? He's playing like it. Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty is my pick from the Norris. Him and Kopitar, it's like they've had a resurgence, and they're both looking really good this year. I think he's playing. Let's see here. I wrote down 26 minutes a game, and he has 22 points in 25 games so far. But 26, this guy plays 26 minutes for this team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a true workhorse, top tier defenseman, and he's producing like it again.
Yeah, when I heard people say that Drew Doughty was an overpaid player, I mean, he might be, but when I saw him ranked up with like the worst contracts in hockey, I was like, I think you're still sleeping on Drew Doughty. He's still a very, very good defenseman. That's why I have him as my Norris as well. So I'm going back to the black and gray and white and going with another king for a Norris Trophy. I think it'd be his third if he was to win. He'll probably not win it, but under my rules, under this game, Drew Doughty, you have your third Norris Trophy. Congratulations. What about the Calder, bud?
The Calder, I have Kirill Kaprizov, 20 points so far. He's kind of made Minnesota Wild hockey exciting again. When's the last time you could really watch like the Wild play and offensively just be wowed by a player on that team? They've been a pretty boring team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to all those Minnesota fans, but it's true. They felt like an older team, just didn't have a lot of skill. Now with him, Fiala, a couple of young guys inserted in that lineup, and they're scoring a little more. They're fun to watch. They're playing good too. So yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I am going with Kaprizov as well. He's just kind of come in. He stayed a little bit longer in Russia, as most Russian players do. Stayed a little bit longer over there, developed his game, and now he is a bona fide star. This kid just does things that you like you said, Kurt, or you're just wowed by on a nightly basis. So he is my pick. What about the Vezina? What do you got?
I have Marc-Andre Fleury.
The COVID man.
Once again, the Knights are first place. He's a 1.73 GAA, 938 save percentage, 12 wins. So he might be the league Vezina candidate favorite right now. So that's my pick.
Yeah, I think it's between him and Vasilevsky for sure. That's why I have him as my West Vezina winner. He's just had a great year. Like there was rumors that like in the offseason they were going to have to trade him for cap issues and that, he wasn't performing well. And then, last year, I think it was last year, his agent put out that photo of, the sword going through his back and whatnot. And things just didn't seem good in Vegas for him. But now, I mean, he's just a 938 save percentage. How old is he? 36, 37 years old. He's just killing.
Yeah. This
He's
guy
just on fire.
He doesn't stop, even defying age.
No, he's definitely defying age. So let's do this. Let's do this really, really quick, and then we'll get out of here. I'm gonna give you some matchups. Okay, if the playoffs started today, and I just want your gut instinct for who you think is gonna win, and we'll go through the league. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Toronto versus Montreal.
Toronto.
Okay, Toronto. I have Toronto as well. Edmonton versus Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, I gotta go Winnipeg. I don't think Edmonton has the goaltending. Islanders versus Boston.
This one is tough. You know what? I'm gonna go Boston. I love the Islanders. I love how they're playing, but I think Boston in the playoffs. I think they're still getting to another gear. I think there's still something left for them to give that they haven't reached yet. And I think by the time the playoffs come around, I think they'll be ready to go. I got Boston.
I think Boston as well because they are 6 points behind the Islanders, but they have 3 games in hand. So I'm going to take Boston, Washington, and Pittsburgh.
Washington.
2 hot teams right now. I'm going to take Washington as well. So we are not that different on our picks right now. Kind of boring to listen to, but whatever. That's the way it is. So let's go over here. Vegas and Colorado.
Wow, that would be a fun matchup.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I'm going Vegas. Give me Vegas.
Same. St. Louis and Minnesota. God, that's tough.
Yeah, I got St. Louis.
Yeah. Okay, you're going St. Louis. I'm going Minnesota. Let me just write.
There's a first different one.
There's a first different one. Wow,
that's good.
We're killing
Finally.
it.
Yeah.
All right, Central, Tampa, Chicago.
I mean, it's got to be Tampa.
Yep, same. And then we got Carolina and Florida. God, that's a hard one too.
Carolina.
You're going Carolina?
I love Rod Brindamore as a coach.
All right, I'm going to go Florida. So now we're going to have kind of like 2 different brackets here. So now we got Toronto, Winnipeg.
That is really tough for me. I'm a big goaltending in the playoffs guy though. I really think that the top 6 I think it's really close. I think the goaltending is going to that'll give me Winnipeg. That's tough though. Cause I
Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's really tough though. Both those teams are such good top 6s. I think the advantage on defense is Toronto for sure, but I love the goaltending that Winnipeg could get. It could steal games, right? Especially in the playoffs. It makes me, as a Leafs fan, it would make me nervous playing such a good goalie.
Okay, I'll take Toronto. Boston, Washington.
That one is that's close. I saw a stat. It was Tuukka Rask is 3-17 8-4 in his career against Washington. And I mean, if I had to pick, I think he'd be starting a playoff series. So I'm
Mhm.
going to roll Washington. I'm a numbers guy, and I'm going to roll Washington.
I am going Washington too. That would be such a great series to watch. So you have Vegas and St. Louis. What do you got there?
This is another fun one. You know what? I can't. Now that we're talking this, I can't wait. There's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of good matchups.
So many good ones.
Yeah, like everything. These four that we've named so far would be 6-7 game battles. But I'm going to
Okay.
go with the Knights. I'm big on Vegas
Yeah.
this year, and I think I'm going to stick with that.
So I had Vegas versus Minnesota. I thought Minnesota was going to beat St. Louis. I will still take Vegas though against Minnesota.
Okay.
So now you have Tampa versus Carolina. Is it even a debate?
Once again, another. I think this would be fun. I think people aren't giving enough credit to Carolina, but Tampa. It's gonna be Tampa.
Yeah, I had Tampa against Florida. I think it's Tampa easily. So now we get into the final four. So you have Winnipeg going up against Vegas.
Give me
What do you got there?
Vegas. Give me
Taking
Vegas. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going Vegas. I have Toronto going against Vegas. Give me Toronto. Give me Toronto against that.
Wow.
The only reason I'm going to say that is because Toronto, I think, although I said the Canadian division isn't that bad, I think physically they will have an easier time getting to that point. I think Vegas is going to have to go through some big teams, big physical teams to get there. Washington, Tampa. Oh,
This
so
would
good.
this
That's
would
so
be
good, man.
unbelievable. Oh man, it's gonna pain me to say this. I'm going Tampa. They're
Tampa.
gonna get a huge boost when they get a fresh Kucherov. I got Tampa.
So now you have Vegas versus Tampa. Oh my God, is that good?
Yeah, wow.
That's so good.
This this is getting me really excited for the playoffs now. I think this is gonna be a fun year for
Yeah.
NHL playoffs. I mean, it is every year, but this year
Yeah.
especially. I'm gonna go Vegas. They get it done.
Vegas. You're going Vegas. Vegas finally breaks through. So I have Toronto versus Tampa. That's another electric Stanley
That
Cup
would be
Finals.
fun.
I think that's a coin. I think that's a coin toss, but I will give it to, depending on what the teams do at the deadline. Right now, as it stands, I will go Tampa. I think Toronto loses in the Stanley Cup Finals, but if Toronto adds some more physicality at the deadline, that could very easily. We could be very easily looking at Toronto Maple Leafs as Stanley Cup champions.
This
and
is
that excites me.
This will be something we'll do when we do our trade deadline show. This could change.
100%.
We might have to do an updated one,
but
this will be something that definitely could be altered based on any deadline. Any of those top four that I had too, like those when we got down to the final four, you could Washington. I could make a case for Washington, Winnipeg, and I wasn't even like sold on the Jets too. I could definitely sub in the Leafs there. Like I was not sold. It was very close. There's a lot of good matchups, so that especially an active trade deadline for one of these teams could change their position if I had you in the final 8. But yeah,
100%.
that's right now. I'll go with that. I'll roll with my Knights.
100%. All right, man. Well, that was kind of fun. I mean, this was a fun show. This was a really good show. What do you got for this weekend? What do you got for picks?
Yeah, so Saturday night, another active night of hockey. I've got the Jets at the Leafs. Give me the Jets. Following that, we've got the Oilers at the Canucks. Give me the Oilers. Sunday, Spurs at 76ers. Give me the 76ers.
Okay, I like that. I have so we got the Flyers versus the Capitals. Give me the Flyers on that one. So we're betting against each other's teams, but that's okay. That happens. Little NBA action. We got Toronto versus Atlanta. Give me Toronto in that. And then we got a really good matchup between the Trailblazers and the Suns. I will take the Trailblazers for that one.
All right. I like those.
So there's our picks. That was our mid-season show. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody again for listening. It was really fun. We'll be back next week. We'll probably do some sort of NFL free agency type thing, right?
Very, very active NFL free agency. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Bye, everyone.
it.